Well, okay. So the ones that me the most are I'll look at a tweet, whatever it is, have nothing to do with the tweet. It's an Instagram girl. It's some car crash from Mumbai. It's like these are like the top ranked replies, and I have to literally scroll down, and there's no rhyme or reason to the replies. It's not like doesn't care. It's become very evident to me that he bought that out basically so that he couldn't have his voice canceled in terms of Tesla and business and such. He bought that app to literally hook up with chicks. He's already impregnated like at least five influencers on there. And they have like children with him. He has like 18 children right now, and perhaps a lot more, which isn't nearly as many as the guy from Telegram has. That guy has over 100 kids. But basically, Elon Musk has put no work into improving the app. I know people will say Grok, but Grok is like different. That's like a different project. And I know people will say, like, here's a big instance for me. On Android, you cannot do a video space, but on iOS, you can. It's been like that more than for more than 2 years now. You would think that you would give the same options to both of your platforms. I've talked about this a lot as an app developer, but a user should have similar experiences on both Android and iOS, and it's just not that. And with that being said, the uh, marketing of X is, I think, it's brutal. And so your project, I think, can really help with this. That you could have people with really engaging, interesting advertising, and that will make people stop scrolling and check out the product, and that's what people want. And it's one thing to just do it with AI, and everybody's just become numb to that. And it's another thing to do it with someone who's real, and you can put their contact information on there, and people know that this person is real. And I just think that's a better way to market to people. Um, and I know I
Will
did.
there not be like a bias to creators?
It has been. So, for instance, like
I mean, I can make the argument that not necessarily because there's some really viral videos on Instagram and TikTok from absolute nobody, but just due to the fact that they're so bizarre and abstract, they just get a lot of attention. So I think, yeah, if you produce quality content, you'll be rewarded.
I I agree with you. Um, I think that this platform certainly could help big platforms like advertisers on X and LinkedIn and Instagram and YouTube, certainly. But then for your small mom and pop, which are becoming extinct, but for their survival, you I'm sure, I am absolutely sure that you could have a small mom and pop coffee shop in San Francisco that has
How
somebody,
it's the
pardon me?
how it's the
Exactly. Somebody who has um an idea that they go to this coffee shop and they're like, hey, or the coffee shop just like uh crowdsources it, and that makes them a very popular coffee shop. Um, not just in their area, but like it connects with people. Like what would be an example of this? Like Talk to a Girl, like that kind of. I don't know. I'm sure that that was a setup or something, but Or like that lady who's on the plane that's like, um did you see that shit or whatever? She thought there was like an alien next to her or something. Or I mean these are just memes, but when it comes to advertising, um I just think that, like, what would give a better example than talk to a girl and that lady on the phone? Uh, well, let's see. Okay, I don't know if this is perfect, but there's like the last blockbuster in the United States is located in Bend, Oregon. I don't know if Blockbuster was ever in Canada. Was it?
Oh,
Okay. So the last one is in Bend, Oregon, and it's become a tourist destination. People go on road trips there. People get married there. It's become like this cult classic little place. You know, there's a place in LA that is a video store that all they do is it's actually an art installation, but all they do is accept the movie uh, Jerry Maguire, I believe. And so everybody from around the world who has a VHS of Jerry Maguire donates it to this place, and they just have it top to bottom. It's an art installation, just one movie that they have, and there's almost like a viralness to that. That at least in my mind has been made it stick out a little bit, and that can help a small business survive. These little um, these little media articles or whatever that people write do make an impact on the psyche of the audience. And I mean even to the point where people like literally like travel thousands of miles to a location just to see what was going on, whatever. um and I think that your crowd spark has the ability to do that a lot more. um I than like your average uh media organization. I think that, I mean, um, if you know how these advertising agencies work, they get really big clients, whether it's American Airlines or United Airlines or Coca-Cola or Pepsi, and then they have a room of creative people. They call it creative, usually about, I don't know, 10, 20 people maximum, and they come up with really interesting content. They sit around a table and they bounce things off, and then they give it to the big company. The big company doesn't come up with this stuff. They go to these advertising agencies, and that to me is a dying breed. Like I don't think you ever saw Mad Men, but that's essentially what Mad Men's about. It's the Madison Avenue. That's the mad part the of advertising, and I think that that's no longer necessary. You have an idea here that could replace that, and it's much cheaper. It's much more authentic. Um, and I think that it works. Like to summarize myself, it works for really big companies, but it also works for small companies and um, little startups. And it's not going to be that expensive. I mean, it's you're going to take 10% of a cut on whatever anything any kind of contest is, and uh, to a small coffee shop in San Francisco, they might not be able to give a give a give a grand prize of $10,000, but they might be able to give $100 in coffee um, gift certificates and give you $10. And businesses on like a carousel on your front page, and it'd be like, people are gonna click on that and just be like, people will do this because they feel they're helping people.
figures all the. I think it does make sense. I think that the real thread and you find like whether that's this idea is better than advertising agencies because I think that like well and it makes sense to me that like this marketplace is the much better solution overall than those fees. But yeah, I think I don't know the question is more whether like AI is better than marketplace.
Exactly. That's an excellent point. I still want to go through a little more if we can before we play. What happens when?
Let me just
Sure, absolutely.
we didn't really break down like for I mean I don't know exactly how ad agencies work fully, but it's not. I imagine 100% of the budget is going to the creative, the production of the ad is also like the campaign, all these other stuff, and that's kind of part one of the question, and part two of the question is, do you think that the agencies themselves will pivot to utilize platform for the ideas and then go on producing the campaigns, or do you think the company will completely get advertisement? They still arguably need people to run the campaign, do all the other stuff.
Well, you're saying there's an advertising budget. How much of that goes to the creative, or whatever, and how much of it goes to actually producing the advertising?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
It definitely depends on the. So, like a Super Bowl commercial, you're gonna have to pay like $10 million for the ad time, and then depending if you're gonna have celebrities in the ad, they're gonna want $1 million or so each. And then on top of that, the advertiser itself, or the advertising agency is gonna want some money. So it depends. A Super Bowl commercial is gonna be exceptional, but you're probably looking at like $15 million just for a 30-second ad, and that's going to be a lot different than something like just a banner ad on a website where you might not need a celebrity endorser, and it's going to be cheaper, and there are a lot of um for the advertising. It depends on the look. So that's going to be a hard thing to answer. If you ask, like, do the like what depends as well on the product and what the consider to be success. Um, So I think it's difficult to quantify, but not impossible things. And it's really through metrics. There's I can give you at least in rate, which is something like the amount of listeners times the amount of purchases, the the amount of listeners times the amount of overall purchases, or perhaps it's this is actually a different equation. The audience divided by the amount of purchases equals the success rate, something like that. And so if you have a really big audience and a bunch of people who bought stuff, then you're going to have like closer to a 1-to-1 success rate. But then if you have a really big audience and nobody buys the product, then you're going to have a different success rate. But basically, there are metrics that can be studied and argued. The thing is, you're going to be able to give all of this information to a company and basically say that someone's social media post got X amount of impressions, and all of these advertisers, they care about impressions. That's what they sell on. I know I've said this before, but like when ESPN comes to your business and they say, "Hey, do you want to advertise on ESPN? We can guarantee you 250,000 impressions a day by people listening to the radio." And then a billboard company comes to you and they say, "We can offer you 1 million impressions a day." Well, it depends on what the impression is. An impression is literally just eyes perceiving something or ears perceiving something, but that's what they sell on. And um, you're going to be able to say, we can get your campaign X amount of impressions, but here's the thing that makes our platform better is our impressions are very powerful impressions because they're going to be targeted to your audience. We already know that these things are successful on social media, and this is why you should choose, this given marketing.
So
um
why would you say, I agree with your overall point, but why would you say that they're targeted expression one concept, an audience, who knows what, baking people watching marketing ads with something non-baking related?
okay, so let's use baking.
It is impression, but
let let's use baking as our thing. Okay, so you could go to one of these major marketing companies and say, "Hey, we need an ad for selling cookies or whatever, a type of batter, Betty Crocker, or what?" And they're going to put out a really nice ad for Betty Crocker, and that's cool. And that's going to cost millions of dollars. Or you can have some little lady who is like, "Hi, welcome to Amy's Baking Company. I've been baking cookies for the last 25 years, and I only ever use Betty Crocker mix, and here's why. It tastes good, it's easy to make, it's easy to clean up, and it's affordable. Please consider buying Betty Crocker baking products the next time that you make a purchase." And when a baker sees the highly polished advertising agency thing, that's cool. But the baker, he or she's going to connect with this little baking company because they've been doing it for 25 years, and there's a certain idea that, hey, this is this is who I connect with, and that's why I think this advertising strategy is better. Does that make sense?
no, I agree. I think the point that you're making is that the user generated content fits more with people versus like advertising ads, which I don't dispute that. And but that that is user generated content. Is that influencer that's doing that influencer that's overall impressions that you're selling to the company, like for the contest, any person in the world with whatever audience can submit their advertising to be selected as a winner. If you're selling those overall, I got confused because I thought you were saying that you're selling those overall impressions of the contest that organic grassroots marketing as like powerful impressions. I agree that they are impressions, but not all of those contests tailored to the specific industry that the company is advertising for.
Can you repeat or elaborate on that last part?
Just that the contest, like anyone can submit an advertisement for the contest, and those impressions are not necessarily like directed in the product demographic for the company. But so that's why I got confused. But based on what you just said, the old lady who's doing that ad, I'm assuming that lady didn't for the contest and has a taking audience or something.
Yeah.
And it's a good ad, and that's her.
Well, either that or like what her kid could be, hey, or just someone who knows her be like, hey, I'd like to use you as a spokesperson in um, this ad. But those kind of people are already influencers generally. Like they already have a business, so they're already familiar with editing videos on a phone. This doesn't have to be that complicated, you know. It's just like, hey, we need 5 different short videos of you, and you just clip them together, and then you combine them, do a 30-second ad, and then you submit it. And that lady like is going to be familiar with doing that. And if she's not, she'll know someone who is. Like companies used to do this a lot. And they don't anymore, but they used to just like let me even look it up. And I'm gonna ask uh this- companies used to do contests a lot. Why don't they do contests as much anymore? Especially like for the best idea or new invention or something like that. While companies still use contests, their approach has been evolved due to research revealing significant flaws in traditional formats. Innovation contests are often criticized for being poorly designed and counterproductive. Studies show that excessive competition can undermine creativity, as participants become stressed, doubt their chances of winning, or feel constrained by others' ideas, leading to lower quality submissions. Key issues include too much competition. Seeing many competing ideas reduces originality. Research found that participants who saw 10 ideas scored 4.4% lower than those who only saw 2. Incentive misalignment. Prizes like gadgets or gift cards rarely support the project's real needs. Teams often crave funding, mentorship, or executive time, not tokens. Political manipulation. Without transparent, objective criteria, outcomes can be influenced by favoritism or alliances, damaging morale. Short-term focus. Most contests are annual events, but innovation requires ongoing processes, not one-off pitches. Despite these challenges, companies still use contests, but with improvements. They now focus on collaborative elements, thematic grouping, limiting visible competition, and aligning prizes with project needs. The goal is to foster innovation sustainably, not just post a popularity contest. That's different though. That's like for a company like not necessarily advertising. The fact that other people are seeing the advertisement is a benefit. It's different than saying, "Hey, come up with a new color of crayon." Like, of course, people are going to be like, "Well, there have already been all of the blues have been submitted. I'm not going to try." But there's another difference to be able to be said for, hey, you know what? I've seen other people's ideas, and I think I could do it better.
I agree with that. There's a lot of creativity in that.
And the idea,
I mean, there's
pardon me,
interesting like psychology.
and the idea that more and more people are viewing this builds brand association, builds connectivity with the brand. These are all positive things. And that's what you want as a company. You want people to connect with your stuff. I mean, I can't, like I don't I don't okay, so what am I thinking? Okay, so I think that this is still a thing, but well I know I'm almost certain it's not. Okay, so my family doesn't smoke cigarettes. But when I was a kid, I would see people wearing cigarette oriented um like swag, and I would learn that there was like I think it like the Marlboro company, so Philip Morris had a um had like a magazine that they would send to people, and if you collected enough what were called Marlboro miles, you would be able to buy swag. It's the same idea as that Pepsi Harrier Jet kind of idea. Now, the fact that my family, nobody smokes Marlboros, no one wears Marlboro stuff, still has had a connection with me 25 years later or 30 years later that this was a contest that was put on by this company, even though my family really didn't have any connection to it. It's the idea that they put out something like that. Another one, I don't like cereal. I never have liked cereal. But General Mills had the box tops promotion for many years, where you could send in box tops and they would, I don't know, give your school money or something like that. And again, my family never sent in box tops. That's not something that I don't like cereal. It's just not my thing. However, I still remember that this went on. Uh, the the McDonald's Monopoly contest. I don't eat at McDonald's, but the idea of monopoly, like was a phenomenon in the United States in the 90s. You would see it on the ground. You would see it, on television or wherever. Like you would drive past the McDonald's and it would say Monopoly is back. And I like Monopoly, so that was always kind of like an interesting thing. Like, what is this all about? But those kind of advertising um, contests have connected. Now, I understand I'm unique, but I can just say that like those kinds of things are really powerful. And then the smartest things these companies can ever do is get you to wear their swag. I mean, it's the smartest thing that Harry Potter and Obama Sonic Tanino ever did was give me all the merchandise because I'm literally on camera every day wearing this shit. I don't even pay attention to it anymore. I haven't paid attention to it in years, but it's like it's everywhere, and uh, it's on there, and that means I talk about it. That means people ask me about it. Okay, so what does that mean in your case? Well, you're not going to be doing physical swag, but basically you're going to have the same impact. Uh, so, okay, here's a good example. Let's say you're in college, and there's some girl in your college class or whatever who you like, and you see that she made a 30-second film for um, Coca-Cola or whatever was being crowdsourced. You don't think that you're not going to connect this girl to Coca-Cola and drink Coca-Cola for the rest of your life because you know that Jane Doe was positive about this brand? You will. There will be people 50 years from now, 60, 70 years from now, and they will be asked, why do you drink Coca Cola? And you'll be like, oh, because funny story, which is how these things start. My friend made a submission for Coca Cola, or for General Mills, or for Fed, or whatever it is. It's brand association. The thing is, the way the audience is going to see brand is on someone who they trust social media. And that's extremely powerful.
Yeah, one of the biggest selling influencers, other people on
Exactly.
their promos.
Well, okay, just this, like the fucking sriracha. I have a bottle of sriracha here, and one of the reasons why I don't mind having the sriracha on my stream is because the kosher organization, I'm friends with the guys who run it. It's the Rabbinical Council of California, and thus I feel like I'm helping them by just keeping a product on my stream that I know they from which they benefit. And when people watch my streams in the future, the price of sriracha, or the the impact of sriracha is gonna be a phenomenon, just because I showed that I like this. Because people will like me, and then they will in turn think that I like sriracha, which I do. Or I it's just like okay, this is a weird one, but I can tell you this is very interesting. The way that I ever first saw this personally ever work out, I worked. I talked to you about this in the past. I worked at a startup with this very overarching owner of the business, and then from there I became an accountant for just a year, almost exactly 365 days. And I have told you about it. It's like Catch Me If You Can. And when I well, the first day that I went into work, there was a camera literally right behind my head. Now I had worked at the other organization that had cameras everywhere as well, but this organization had one right behind my head. I remember asking um, the other accountant at the time, like, "Wow, this is very Big Brother. Like, literally, there is a camera right behind your head that can see absolutely everything that you're doing on your computer and on your desk." And the other accountant told me, yeah, the CFO one time had an accountant who was embezzling from her, and she had to prosecute this person. So she's really uh, very, very uh, watchful of anything that's going on, and that's absolutely true. She absolutely was, and I would many times bring in groceries from like the store for my lunch, and I would notice the things that I would eat, this woman would end up eating things that were very similar. I would eat like bacon lox, which is like bagels, like salmon. And this woman would, I've never seen her with a bagel, never saw her. But the second that I started eating bagels, all of a sudden this woman started having bagels. Or it happened like 3 or 4 different foods that I could notice that this person, like the fact that I was eating it, meant that other people were eating it. And then I've noticed that on my streams that like I'll eat or drink something or whatever, and it makes other people want to do it. And it just
I
the
almost bought like Harry Potter about that.
well, there you go. Um, and would I endorse that? You can. You'll get asked about it. It kind of looks wild merch. Um, but there you go. That's just how it works. That's like how advertising works. But I noticed it the first time I ever. Well, okay. So I don't know. Did you ever see the movie Speed starring Keanu Reeves and um, Sandra Bullock?
Nice.
All right. Well, Speed was like a really big movie in LA in the 90s specifically because one of the idea of it's like a movie in parts. It actually was three movies that they combined into one. Very good movie. Um, but the idea is this: a terrorist guy who used to the LAPD. He has um, rigged us that if a bus goes less than 55 miles an hour, it will blow up. So basically, the bus driver has, and that's really difficult to do in LA traffic. And so that becomes an issue, and they have to like get gas to the bus like while it's running. There's like all of these things, challenges that they have to overcome. And one of the freeways in Los Angeles, it's the 105 freeway, was not quite yet built uh, during the time of this filming. And so they used it. They used one of the on ramps to show the bus basically like flying over an unfinished part of the freeway and like landing on the other side, almost like you would see in like a Hot Wheels commercial or something like that. And um, there's this one scene where the hacker guy, the enemy, the terrorist guy, basically has hacked into a video system. Like this is before internet was really used or whatever, but just for the benefit of the movie, this guy had hacked into the video system of the bus, and he was calling Sandra Bullock by a nickname. And the reason why he used that nickname, the nickname was Wildcat. And they wonder why is he calling her Wildcat? Well, she had a Wildcats sweatshirt on her, um, like while she was wearing it. She was like, she had to end up being the bus driver basically, and and that has always stuck with me. Like this idea that subconsciously, even if you don't know people are watching you, you can have an impact on them. Anyway, the same thing happened during when I worked as an accountant. Like I said, I went for a long period of time not eating at this job, and it was fine. But then when I started bringing groceries, like everything that I would bring in, it was like all of a sudden I was having an impact on someone else because she was watching me on these cameras, and what I was eating was looking good and desirable, and it just impacted her. It happened with somebody else too, just on the stream. Uh, it's happened a lot, but I don't know. I'll eat something or I'll drink something, and then it causes other people to wanna either connect with me or just subconsciously do the same thing. Um,
We go to like a restaurant and we were waiting for the quite a food that was really good here. You're like happy to go for that food.
that's exactly right. And the old adage, you don't sell the steak, you sell the sizzle. Basically, like the the elements around the the product are sometimes more important than the product itself. Um, I I recognize that the power of an influencer and the power of an advertiser. So, in your case, with this platform, you will have the ability to have a major organization not need to go to $1 million a minute advertising agency, and they'll be able to crowdsource this stuff. And it, what I love about it is that what I love about this idea is the fact that it's going to benefit artists, people who are sitting at home, who are creative but have been put out of work because of AI. They now have a resurrected career. They could literally be on Crowd Spark all day long and make content for those people and put that content on their social media and make money, perhaps by just winning contests. And then the other major element of this is just the power of the brand. If you can get an influencer, even if they don't know it, promote your product on their social media page, everyone who likes them will connect them to that um to that product and will have generally a positive sensation from that. And I'm trying to think of like someone who um oh like I know my grandparents would drink would sometimes like especially around holidays and like have a type of wine. It's Manischewitz, and it's not the best kind of kosher wine. However, it's really sweet, and they would let the kids uh, have some of it during holidays. And for that reason, like Manischewitz has always been like part of my um, it's been a brand I've always connected with. Um, just because I know that my family enjoys it, or just there are quite a few of them, but like I'm partial to those brands, and it would be very hard for me to buy. I mean, I buy other types of wine, but um, if I were in the same position where I needed a really sweet kosher wine, it would be very hard for me to buy anything other than that because it's like it's become tradition, and that's like a really important aspect of humanity. Like uh, Coca Cola during like December puts out those bears, and or like Budweiser puts out like Clydesdale. Like they want to connect with you in a way that is not just uh, they want to create traditions within your family, and that's a very powerful way of advertising, as opposed to just hey, we're gonna give you a pop-up ad. That can be powerful as well. But to me, the best kind of advertising is the kind that connects with on a different level with you. And I think your type of crowdsourcing of these types of ideas can do that much better than some advertising agencies can. Um, I wanted to talk about was the role of in all of this. So what do you do can make these ads way better than anybody else? Okay, that's fine. Um, there's going to be some rejection of AI, not completely, but just like I mean, I'm starting to see AI stand-up comedy, and it's pretty good. It used to not be very good, but it's pretty good now. But I don't appreciate it as much because I know that not one single individual came up with it, and I appreciate real like the risk factor of real stand-up comedy that someone had to go up and be very vulnerable to hecklers and to mispronunciation and to just forgetting or bombing. There's something attractive to me about that I know that um, AI stand-up comedy lacks. And even though the AI stand-up comedy may be very, very funny, there's just not the same vulnerability as organic stand-up comedy. And with an
You can
advertisement,
write jokes, but you can't deliver them.
dude, whatever. She may say, "Look, I'm not feeling well. I don't the like I don't look the way that I could, but I can make myself with AI, make like little videos and snip them together or whatever, and then just put my name on it, and that's going to give that advertisement uh, a lot more legitimacy than just if I don't. Then people don't realize. Then people are just like, this is just some AI slop, as opposed to, hey, this is a real, um, this is a real person behind this. There's this, so like, there's this, there. Okay, so the radio station that I listen to literally 24/7 is going through all kinds of changes. Um, just because of how radio's dying, and they're trying to make all these fixes, and it's a dying art. But nevertheless, I news 24/7, which is important to my stream. Anyway, there's this one radio show that we put out an AI picture of the team that um is behind the radio show, and they're critiquing it like this is AI slop, blah 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 blah. Then there were other people who were like, this is no different when you would have a caricaturist, like someone who would make caricatures of celebrities in the past, just do that, but they're just, doing it quicker and more efficiently and for less cost. And I've got to say that, like, that's an argument to that. That, okay, maybe AI is not, uh, not rewarding the artist. I get that. But that doesn't mean that the that people can't use it for their own benefit, just like show used it to benefit themselves. And in the same way, we can hear ladies say, "Look, I take pictures of me and make an AI model, and then if they can see all my stuff on social, that's a much advertisement than just AI stuff you're going to see." And in your people be submitting a lot of AI stuff, and that's how do you use it? Is it connected to a real person? Is it connected to a real product? Can I go to someone else's social and see that this is real stuff and connect with them, send them a message? Now, what's going to get interesting to this is what happens when you make an AI baker and you make this AI baker say, I've been baking for 30 years with Betty Crocker, and you can't tell the difference, and you go to their Instagram and it really looks like she's a real person. That's when this becomes tricky. But
I mean, that normally, at least currently, like on Instagram, say like